little girl asked a simple question. It cracked the icy shell of the most feared man in the city, awakening a ghost from his past and igniting a deadly war. What shocking secret ties her to his lost love, and can he protect them without destroying everything he's built? If you're new here, subscribe and comment your location. Now let's begin. The rain fell on the city like a cold, gray curtain. Enzo, the Vale Conti, stood under the awning of a social club, his black coat dry. His men, Paul and James, stood a step behind him. They were waiting for a car. The street was quiet, just the sound of rain and a distant siren. Then a small sound, a shuffle. A little girl came out of the building next door. It was an old apartment building, paint peeling. The girl was maybe 6. She had a yellow raincoat too big for her, and her hair was in messy braids. She looked right at Enzo. He noticed her, but only for a second. He looked away. People usually looked away from him, but she didn't. She walked closer, her small boots splashing in a puddle. Paul stepped forward. "Hey, kid, beat it." The girl stopped, but she didn't look at Paul. She kept her eyes on Enzo. Her eyes were big and brown and serious. "Excuse me, mister." Her voice was small but clear. Enzo slowly turned his head. He looked down at her. His face was like stone, cold, empty. That's why they called him the Vale. Nothing got through. The girl took a shaky breath. "Can you fix our door?" she asked. Enzo just stared. He didn't speak. "The bad men broke it last night," the girl continued. Her lower lip trembled just a little. "Mommy's scared. She's crying. The rain is getting in. Can you fix it?" Paul snorted. "Kid, we ain't handymen. Go tell your super." He moved to shoo her away. But Enzo raised one finger. Just one. Paul froze. Enzo's eyes were locked on the girl's face. Really looking now. The shape of her eyes, the little curve of her nose, the way her brow furrowed. A memory, sharp as a knife, stabbed him right in the chest. It was her face, Alina's face, from 20 years ago, when they were just kids on this same street, when he promised her everything, when he failed her completely. His breath hitched, the stone facade of the Vale cracked. For a second, pure pain flashed in his eyes. His men saw it. James shifted, confused. They had never seen that look. Enzo did something unbelievable. He slowly knelt down right there on the wet sidewalk. The knees of his expensive suit pressed into the dirty water. He was now eye level with the little girl. "What's your name?" he asked. His voice was different, soft, rough with an emotion no one had heard in decades. "Lucy," the girl said. "And your mommy's name?" Enzo asked, already knowing, already dreading the answer. "Stella," Lucy said. Enzo closed his eyes for a second. Stella, Alina's younger sister, the one he swore to protect, the one he lost. The promise on the grave, he had broken it. He found her only for his own men to terrify her. "Where is your door, Lucy?" he asked, opening his eyes. She pointed to the building's main entrance. It was hanging off one hinge, splintered around the lock. "Show me," Enzo said. He stood up. He followed the little girl, ignoring the rain soaking his shoulders. Paul and James scrambled to follow, their faces pale with shock. Lucy led them up 2 flights of dark, smelly stairs. To apartment 3B, the door there was also broken. Kicked in. It was propped shut with a chair. Enzo touched the broken wood. His hand, which had dealt so much violence, trembled. "Who did this, Lucy?" "Mommy called them the collection men," Lucy whispered. "They yelled. They said we owed money. Mommy said we paid. They didn't listen." Rage, cold and absolute, filled Enzo's veins. His own people. His own system of terror turned on the only person left he was supposed to shield. "Wait here," he told Lucy. He pushed the broken door open. The apartment was small and clean, but very poor. A woman was kneeling, trying to soak up water from the rainy draft with a towel. She was thin, worn out. But when she turned, Enzo saw Alina again. Older, tired, scared, but Alina's eyes. Stella looked up. She saw a huge, well-dressed stranger in her doorway. She saw his cold eyes. She gasped and scrambled back, pulling the towel to her chest like a shield. "Please, we don't have any more money. I gave it to the other men. Please leave us alone." Enzo felt like he was being torn apart. He held up his hands, a gesture of peace he never used. "Stella," he said, "you don't remember me." She stared, her fear slowly mixed with confusion. She looked at his face. The years fell away for her, too. "Enzo!" The name was a whisper from a forgotten life. He nodded, just once. "I'm here to fix your door." He turned to Paul and James, who were crowded in the hall. His softness vanished. The veil was back, but now it was made of pure, dark fire. "Get tools," he said, his voice a low whip crack. "Now, a new door, hardware, everything. You have 20 minutes. Paul stammered. "Boss, we can get some guys too." "I said you," Enzo snarled, taking a step toward him. "You will go to the hardware store. You will buy a solid wood door. You will carry it here. You will fix it. With your own hands. Do you understand?" Paul, a man who broke knees for a living, went pale. "Yes, boss." "Go." The men ran. Enzo turned back to Stella. Lucy had gone to her mother's side. They clung to each other, watching him. "I'm sorry," Enzo said. The words were foreign in his mouth. "This is my fault." For an hour, Enzo Conti, the most feared man in the city, worked. He helped Paul and James remove the broken door. He held the new one in place. He didn't speak. His silence was scarier than any yelling. When the new door was hung, strong and solid, he tested the lock himself. It clicked with a solid, safe sound. He looked at Stella. "It's safe now." "Thank you," Stella said, her voice still trembling. "Who took your money, Stella?" he asked, his voice too calm. "What were their names?" She shook her head, terrified. "I don't know, just men. They work for the man who owns the buildings now, a company. They said the rent went up. I paid the old rent. They said it wasn't enough. They came last night." Enzo nodded. He pulled a roll of cash from his pocket. It was more money than Stella saw in a year. He placed it on the small table. "This is your money back for the trouble." He knelt down to Lucy again. "Your door is strong. No one will break it. You tell your mommy she is safe now. Okay." Lucy nodded, her big eyes wide. Enzo stood up. He gave Stella one last, long look. A look full of a promise he was making all over again. Then he left, pulling the new, solid door shut behind him. Out in the hall, the veil was gone. Only the boss remained. He looked at Paul and James. "Find David. Bring him to the warehouse. Now." David was the captain who oversaw this territory. The warehouse was a cold, empty space. Enzo sat on a metal chair, waiting. David came in, smiling. He was a big man, slick. "Boss, heard you were in the neighborhood. Everything good?" Enzo didn't smile. "The apartment building on 5th and Mercer. Who handles the collections there?" David's smile faded a little. That's Mark's crew. Little operation. Good earner. Why?" "Who broke the door on apartment 3B last night?" Enzo's voice was quiet. David laughed nervously. "A door, boss, come on. Sometimes people need a push to pay. It's just business." Enzo stood up. He walked slowly toward David. "The woman in 3B, her name is Stella. Do you know that name?" David shrugged. "Number should I?" "She is Alina Conti's sister," Enzo said, and the air in the room went cold. David's face went white as a sheet. Everyone knew the story. Alina, the boss's woman before he was the boss, killed in a hit meant for him. The reason he became the Veil, the reason he was so cold. "Oh God, boss, I didn't know, I swear." "Where is Mark?" Enzo interrupted. He's at the bar, the lucky coin, counting the week's take." Enzo picked up a tire iron leaning against the wall. He walked past David. "Come with me." The lucky coin bar was full of low-level guys. They were laughing, drinking, stacking money on a back table. A man named Mark was at the center of it. He saw Enzo walk in and jumped up, trying to look respectful. "Boss, welcome." Enzo didn't stop. He walked right up to the table. He looked at the stacks of cash. "This is from the buildings on Mercer." Mark grinned. "Yeah, boss, good week. Had to lean on a few people, but they paid." Enzo nodded. Then he swung the tire iron. It smashed into the stacks of money, sending bills flying everywhere. He swung again, smashing the table. The men jumped back in terror. Boss, what? Enzo turned to Mark. His eyes were dead. You broke a door last night, on 3B. Mark was confused. Yeah, the broad was short. She needed a lesson. Her name is Stella, Enzo said. She is under my protection. You took money from her. You terrified her child. Mark finally understood. The color drained from his face. Boss, please, I didn't know. It was a mistake. There are no mistakes, Enzo said. Only consequences. He turned to David. You are captain. You let this happen in your territory. You didn't know who was there. That is your failure. He looked at the room. All of you, you work for me. My rules, we do not touch the helpless. We do not terrorize children. This is the only rule that matters. You broke it. He pointed the tire iron at Mark. You will go back to that building. You will apologize to Stella. You will return every dollar you took from every person in that building. Then you will leave this city. If I see you again, you are dead. He turned to David. You are finished. Give me your jacket. Taking a man's jacket was stripping him of his rank. It was a death sentence for his reputation. David, shaking, took off his fancy leather jacket. Enzo threw it on the wet, dirty floor. Get out. He looked at the rest of the men, who were frozen in fear. The collection business on Mercer Street is over. No one collects from those people ever again. If any of you so much as look at that street, I will know, and I will come for you. He dropped the tire iron. It clanged on the concrete floor. The sound was final. Clean this up, he said, and walked out into the rain. He didn't go home. He drove back to 5th and Mercer. He parked across the street from Stella's building. He just sat, watching the new door. He was still the Mafia boss. He still had a war to run. But he had found a piece of his soul he thought was lost. And he would protect it, even if it meant burning his own empire down. In the apartment, Lucy was asleep. Stella sat by the window, holding the roll of cash. She looked out at the rain and saw the dark car sitting there. She knew who it was. She was still scared. But for the first time in a long time, she felt a flicker of something else. Something like hope. And the man in the car, the man they called the Veil, watched over them, remembering a promise made over a grave, and finally beginning to keep it. 2 days passed. Enzo sat in his office, a sleek, dark room high above the city. But he wasn't looking at the skyline. He was staring at a faded photo on his desk. A young woman with Lucy's smile. Elena. Her laugh was gone, but the pain was fresh. A knock on the door. Come in. Paul entered, looking nervous. Boss, we have a problem. The word's out about Mercer Street. Some of the other crews. They're talking. They say you went soft. They say showing weakness is bad for business. Enzo didn't look up from the photo. Who is saying this? The roasty crew, mostly. Also some of our own guys. They're grumbling. Money from those buildings was good. Now it's gone. They want to know what replaces it. Enzo finally looked up. His eyes were calm, deadly calm. Tell them business continues. Tell them to look at their envelopes this week. They will be the same. The money from Mercer Street came from my share, not theirs. Paul's eyes widened. The boss was using his own cut to pay everyone. That was unheard of. Boss, that's a lot of money. You can't. I can, Enzo said. Now, what about the Roasties? What are they doing? Vincent Roasty sent a message. He said, a door for a door. He doesn't like you messing with the neighborhood rules. Thinks it makes him look bad if you're playing hero. Enzo leaned back. Vincent always was an idiot. He thought for a moment. Stella, is she okay? Has anyone bothered her? No, boss, but she went to work this morning. She's a waitress at the diner on 7th. Lucy is at school. We have a man watching, like you said. Good, keep watching. Enzo stood up. I'm going out. Where to, boss? To get a cup of coffee. The diner was called Stella's. The name made Enzo's chest tighten. It was a coincidence, but it felt like a sign. He saw her through the window. Stella in a pale blue uniform pouring coffee for a truck driver. She moved quickly, tiredly. But she smiled at the customer. It was a brave smile. Enzo took a deep breath and walked in. A bell jingled. He chose a booth in the corner where he could see the whole room. A different waitress, an older woman named Rita, came over. What can I get you, honey? Black coffee, please. Rita nodded and left. Enzo kept his eyes down, but he watched Stella. She hadn't seen him yet. He saw how her hands shook just a little as she cleared a table. She was scared all the time. He had done that. Not directly, but his world had done that to her. Then she turned. Her eyes scanned the room and landed on him. She froze. The plate she was holding almost slipped. She caught it, her knuckles white. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. Fear was in her eyes, but also a question. She finished what she was doing. Then, slowly, she walked over to his booth. She didn't sit. Enzo, she said. Her voice was flat. Stella, how are you? How am I? She gave a short, bitter laugh. My door is fixed, so I guess I'm fine. She looked around, then leaned in closer, her voice a harsh whisper. Why are you here, men like you? You don't just fix doors. What do you want? I want nothing, he said, looking up at her. I made a promise to your sister. I broke it. I'm trying to keep it now. Tears welled in Stella's eyes, but she blinked them away angrily. Your promises are what got her killed, Enzo. Did you know that? She died because she was with you, because she loved you. And now you show up 20 years later and think fixing a door makes it better. You have men watching my apartment. I see them. Is that your protection, or am I a prisoner now? Her words hit him harder than any bullet. She was right. He was surrounding her with the very thing that destroyed her family. The men are there to keep others away, he said, his own voice rough. The men who broke your door, they won't come back. But there are other men, worse men. They might try to use you to get to me. The Watchers are to stop that. To stop it or to control it, Stella shot back. I don't want your world near my daughter. I don't want your dirty money. She pulled the roll of cash from her apron pocket and slammed it on the table. Take it. We don't need it. Rita was staring from behind the counter. Other customers were starting to look. Enzo looked at the money, then at Stella's furious, terrified face. He saw Alina's spirit in her, the fire he had loved. He slowly reached out and took the money back. Okay, he said softly. Stella seemed surprised he gave up so easily. She took a step back. Can I ask one thing? Enzo said. Let me pay for Lucy's school, a good school. Safe, far from here, not with cash. I'll set it up, a trust. You never have to see me. She gets a future, that's all. Stella wavered. The fight went out of her, replaced by a deep tiredness. She wanted a better life for Lucy more than anything. Why? Why do you care? Because she has your sister's eyes, Enzo said simply, and I owe her a future. Before Stella could answer, the diner door burst open. Two rough-looking men walked in. They weren't Enzo's men. They scanned the room, their eyes landing on Stella, then on Enzo. They smiled nasty smiles. One of them, a guy with a scar on his cheek, swaggered over. Well, Stella, right? We've been looking for you. Your boss at the building says you're causing trouble, filing complaints. That's not nice. Stella went pale. I didn't file any complaints. Doesn't matter. The message is, keep quiet, or next time it won't be your door. The man reached out to grab Stella's arm. He never touched her. Enzo's hand shot out and caught the man's wrist. It was so fast, Scarface didn't even see it move. Enzo's grip was like iron. The lady is having a conversation, Enzo said, his voice low and quiet. You are interrupting. Scarface tried to pull away. He couldn't. Who the hell are you? This is none of your business. Enzo stood up. He was taller, broader. He didn't let go of the wrist. Everything on this street is my business now. Tell Vincent Rosty that his message was received. My answer is this. Leave this woman and her child alone, or I will remove his men from this neighborhood. Permanently. The second man pulled a knife. Let him go, old man. The diner was silent. Rita ducked behind the counter. The truck driver stood up, ready to help, but Enzo gave a slight shake of his head. Enzo looked at the knife, then at the man holding it. He finally released Scarface's wrist. You have a knife. I have a phone. He pulled out his cell phone, dialed a number, and put it on speaker. It rang once. A voice answered. Yeah, boss. James, Enzo said, his eyes locked on the two Rosty men. I am at Stella's diner on 7th. There are two of Vincent Rosty's garbage men here. One has a knife. They are threatening a woman. Bring 5 men. Now. James's voice was immediate. 2 minutes, boss. The color drained from the faces of the 2 roasty men. They knew who they were dealing with now. The name boss in this city only meant one man. The one with the knife lowered it. This is a misunderstanding, Scarface stammered. No, Enzo said. It was a message. You delivered it. Now get out. And tell Vincent the next messenger he sends won't walk out. The 2 men scrambled for the door and disappeared. Enzo sat back down. He looked at Stella, who was shaking against the counter. I'm sorry you saw that. Stella just stared at him. The reality of his life, of the danger that followed him, was now in her diner. It was no longer a broken door across town. It was right here. Rita came over with his coffee, her hand trembling. On the house, she whispered. Enzo put a $100 bill under the saucer. For the trouble. He looked back at Stella. The offer for Lucy's school stands, think about it. He stood up to leave. He knew his presence here now was a target. He had to go. As he reached the door, Stella called out, Enzo. He turned. Thank you, she said quietly, for that just now. He gave a single nod. Then he was gone. Outside, 2 black cars screeched to a halt. James and 5 large men jumped out. Boss, where are they? Gone, Enzo said, getting into the lead car. But the war is starting. Vincent Roasty just made his move. He's testing me because of Stella. He thinks she's a weakness. So what do? James asked. We show him she's not a weakness, Enzo said, his face like stone. She is a line in the sand, and he just crossed it. Go to the garage where Roasty's crew parks their delivery trucks. Shut it down. No violence unless they start it. Just take it. It's mine now. James grinned. Yes, boss. That night, Vincent Roasty was furious. His garage was taken. His men were humiliated. He sat in his own club, drinking. Conti has lost his mind. Over some waitress, he's throwing away money, taking losses. This is our chance. His right-hand man, a cool-headed guy named Leo, spoke. Vincent, be careful. Enzo is not weak. He's dangerous. And if this woman is important to him, attacking her is like poking a bear. Then we poke the bear? Vincent slammed his glass down. We don't touch the woman yet. We hit his wallet, his pride. The shipment coming in tomorrow night at the docks. He's bringing in electronics, big score. We take it. Leo frowned. That's a direct act of war. He will hit back hard. Let him, Vincent yelled. He's distracted. His head is with some girl from the past. He's not focused. Tomorrow night we take his shipment. We show the whole city that the veil is slipping. Enzo knew the shipment was a risk. He sat with Paul and David's replacement, a sharp young man named Daniel. Roasty is going to try something, Enzo said. The docks are too open. He'll try to take the shipment. So we cancel? Daniel asked. No, we use it. We let him think he can take it. Enzo spread a map. The real shipment comes in on Pier 12. Small boat, fast. We will talk loudly about Pier 9. Big truck, lots of men, a decoy. Roasty will attack Pier 9. His main crew will be there. While they are busy, we take the real shipment off Pier 12 and leave. Then we visit Roasty's main warehouse. While his fighters are at the docks, his home is empty. We take what's his. It was a classic move, but it would work if Roasty was greedy and angry. And he was. Paul smiled. Beautiful, boss. Paul, you lead the decoy team at Pier 9. Make a big show. Fight back, but not too hard. Let them think they're winning. Then get out. Daniel, you come with me to Pier 12. The plan was set. The next night was foggy on the docks. Perfect. At Pier 9, everything looked right. A big truck, 8 of Enzo's men milling around, waiting. Paul leaned against the truck, smoking. On a rooftop nearby, Vincent Roasty watched through binoculars. He saw the truck. He saw the men. He smiled. Idiot, he's really here. Go, take it all. 4 carloads of Roasty's men roared down the pier, guns out. Shouting started. Gunfire popped in the fog. A big, noisy fight. Meanwhile, at silent Pier 12, a small speedboat quietly pulled up. Enzo, Daniel, and 3 other men loaded crates into a plain van in under 3 minutes. No one saw them. Enzo listened to the distant noise from Pier 9 on his earpiece. He heard Paul's voice. "They took the bait, boss. We're pulling back now." "Good, meet at the warehouse," Enzo said. He turned to Daniel. "Now we go shopping at Roasty's." Roasty's main warehouse was in a run-down industrial park. With most of his muscle at the docks, only 2 guards were at the door. They were taken down quietly. Enzo's men cut the locks and went inside. It was full of stolen goods, TVs, jewelry, cigarettes, but Enzo wasn't there for that. He went to the office. He broke the lock on the filing cabinet. He took all of Roasty's financial records, his ledgers, his lists of police contacts, the crown jewels of his criminal empire. As they were leaving, Enzo took a gas can from a corner. He poured it over the piles of stolen goods. He lit a match and dropped it. Whoosh! Fire roared through the warehouse. They drove away, the orange glow lighting up the night sky behind them. An hour later, Vincent Roasty stood in front of his burning warehouse, screaming. His face was black with soot. His men were bruised from the fight at the docks, where they had only captured an empty truck. His phone rang. It was an unknown number. He answered. "What?" "Vincent." It was Enzo's voice, calm and cold. "You sent men to a diner to scare a woman. You tried to steal from me. This is my answer. The next time you look at her or even think her name, I will burn everything you have to the ground. And then I will come for you. Do you understand?" Vincent Roasty, standing in the ashes of his business, finally felt fear. He didn't answer. "I'll take your silence as a yes," Enzo said, and hung up. Back in his car, Enzo looked at the stolen ledgers. He now had the power to destroy Roasty completely. But he felt no joy, only a cold satisfaction. The world was safer for Stella and Lucy tonight. His phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. He opened it. It was a photo of Lucy, walking into her school that morning, holding her mother's hand. The text below read, "She likes her new teacher. We accept your offer for the school. Thank you, S." Enzo stared at the photo for a long time. At Lucy's small, trusting hand in Stella's. He saved the picture. For the first time in 20 years, Enzo, the veil, Conti felt something other than anger or emptiness. He felt purpose. He typed back a single word, "Good." Then he looked at his men. The war with Roasty is not over. He will be desperate now. And desperate men are stupid. We stay alert, especially around the diner and the school. "We'll double the watch, boss," Daniel said. Enzo nodded, looking out at the city. He had drawn his line. He had made his choice. He would protect the last piece of Alina he had left, even if it meant fighting the whole world. And anyone who tried to hurt them would learn why they called him the Veil. Because he would end them, quietly and completely, and no one would see him coming. A week of tense quiet passed. The city's underworld held its breath, waiting for the next move. Enzo's men watched Stella's diner and Lucy's new school, a private place with a tall fence, around the clock. No Roasty men came near. Enzo spent his days in a new way. He still ran his business, but his mind was always partly elsewhere. He got a daily report. Stella went to work. Lucy went to school, all quiet. It was the best part of his day. One afternoon, his phone rang. It was Daniel. "Boss, we have a small problem, not Roasty, it's Stella. She didn't go to work today. One of the watchers saw an ambulance at her apartment building this morning. Not for her neighbor, an old lady. But Stella went with her to the hospital. Lucy is at school, but Stella is still at City General. She's been there for hours." Enzo was already standing up. "Why?" "The old lady, she has no family. Stella is just being a good person, I guess. But boss, hospitals are bad, open, easy to target. If Roasty is looking for a chance." "I'm on my way," Enzo said. "Tell the team at the school to be extra sharp. No one gets near that gate." City General Hospital was big and busy. Enzo found Stella in the waiting area on the 3rd floor. She was alone, looking tired, sipping bad coffee from a paper cup. She jumped when she saw him. "Enzo, what are you doing here?" "I heard you were here. Is everything okay?" She looked at him, and for the first time, the fear in her eyes was mixed with something else, exhaustion, and maybe a little relief at not being alone. Mrs. Gable, my neighbor, she fell. I called the ambulance. She's okay. But they're keeping her for observation. She has no one. I couldn't just leave her. Enzo nodded. That was exactly something Alina would have done. Where is she? Room 312. She's sleeping. Go home, Stella. Get some rest, I'll stay. Stella shook her head. No, I can't ask you to do that. You didn't ask, I'm telling you. Lucy will be out of school soon, she needs you. Go. I'll make sure Mrs. Gable is fine, my men will drive you. Stella looked at him for a long moment. The fight was gone, she was just too tired. Okay, she whispered. Thank you. After she left, Enzo walked to room 312. An old woman slept in the bed, looking small and fragile. He pulled a chair into the hallway just outside her door and sat down. He looked like a worried family member. No one would guess he was a mafia boss. He called Daniel. I'm at the hospital, room 312. Send 2 men. They should look normal, sit in the waiting area, watch the hall. He settled in to wait. This was a different kind of duty, a quiet one. It felt strange, but not bad. Down in the hospital lobby, a different kind of watch was happening. A man in a janitor's uniform pushed a mop slowly. He wasn't really cleaning. He was on his phone, texting. He's here, 3rd floor, sitting outside a room, alone. The reply came fast. Confirm it's him. The janitor took a stealthy picture of Enzo from the end of the hall and sent it. It's him. What do I do? Nothing, just watch. We're on the way. The janitor was one of Vincent Rosedy's cousins. He'd gotten the job a year ago, just in case. Today was the day. Vincent Rosedy got the picture in his car. He smiled a nasty smile. Enzo Conti alone in a public hospital, vulnerable. This was the chance. Not to kill him, that would start a war too big, but to send a message, to hurt him, to show he wasn't untouchable. He's sitting outside some old lady's room, Vincent told Leo. Probably doing a good deed. How sweet. Let's ruin his day. We take him just for a little ride. We scare him good. Then we let him go. He'll look weak. He'll know we can get to him anytime. Leo was driving. He didn't like it. Boss, taking Enzo Conti, that's not a scare. That's a death sentence. His men will tear the city apart. They have to find him first, and we'll have him back before they even know he's gone. It's perfect. He's alone, no guns in a hospital. He won't make a scene around sick people. It's the one place he's weak. Leo wanted to argue, but he saw the crazy light in Vincent's eyes. Vincent was losing money, respect, everything. He was desperate. Okay, boss, how? We go in like visitors. We have a doctor's coat. We walk up to him, we say his friend is in the ER, he needs to come right away. He'll come. Once we're in the stairwell, we put a bag over his head. Out the service entrance. Simple. It was a stupid, reckless plan, but it just might work. Enzo's phone vibrated. A text from Daniel. Boss, our guys in the lobby say they saw a janitor acting funny. On his phone a lot. Looking at the elevators might be nothing. Enzo's instincts screamed. It was not nothing. He looked down the quiet hospital hall, too quiet. He stood up. He walked into Mrs. Gable's room. The old woman was still asleep. He looked out her window, 3 stories down, a delivery bay. He called Daniel, voice low. Tell your men in the lobby to stop the janitor. Quietly. Ask him who he works for. I'm leaving the room now. I'm coming down the east stairwell. Meet me there. On our way, boss. Enzo left the room. He didn't take the elevator. He pushed open the heavy door to the east stairwell. He started down, his shoes quiet on the concrete steps. He was on the 2nd floor landing when the door above him, the one from the 3rd floor, burst open. 2 big men in cheap suits came through, not his men. Behind them was a man in a white doctor's coat that was too big. Vincent Rosedy. Enzo, Vincent called, his voice echoing in the stairwell. Going so soon, we just got here to visit. Enzo stopped. He looked up, no fear on his face, just a cold calculation. Vincent, you look like a bad Halloween costume. Vincent's smile faded. Funny, you know why we're here. You've caused me a lot of trouble. We're going for a little ride. Don't make a scene. This is a hospital. Enzo didn't move. You're right, it is a hospital, so put your toys away and leave. One of the big men pulled out a pistol. Let's go, old man. At that moment, the door on the first floor flew open. Daniel and two of Enzo's men charged in, guns drawn. Drop it, Daniel yelled, his aim on the man with the gun. The stairwell was now a tight, tense box of pointing weapons. Vincent's eyes went wide. He hadn't expected this so fast. Enzo didn't even look at the guns. He kept his eyes on Vincent. You made two mistakes, Vincent. First, you thought my kindness was weakness. Second, you came here. Vincent licked his lips. This doesn't have to get ugly, Enzo. Let us walk out of here. We forget this happened. No, Enzo said. Then he moved. He wasn't a young man, but he was fast and precise. He took 2 steps up and drove his elbow into the stomach of the gunman closest to him. The man oofed and bent over. Enzo grabbed his wrist and slammed it against the railing. The gun clattered down the stairs. At the same time, Daniel and his men rushed up. A short, violent struggle. It was over in 10 seconds. Vincent's men were disarmed and pressed against the wall. Vincent stood alone, his doctor's coat ridiculous. Enzo walked up to him, step by step. He got right in Vincent's face. You came to a hospital. You brought violence to a place of peace. You are stupid and you have no honor. Vincent was shaking. Enzo, please. Enzo's fist snapped out. It wasn't a wild punch. It was a sharp, hard jab to the solar plexus. Vincent collapsed, gasping for air on the cold stairs. Enzo knelt beside him. Listen to me. Your business is finished. You will leave this city by tomorrow night. If you are still here, I will give those ledgers I took to the police. You will go to jail for a long, long time. If you ever come back, or if anyone who works for you ever comes near Stella or Lucy again, I will not call the police. I will come for you myself. Do you understand? Vincent, tears in his eyes from the pain, could only nod. Get him out of my sight, Enzo said to his men. Daniel and the others hauled Vincent and his men down the stairs and out the service entrance. Enzo straightened his suit. He took a deep breath. The violence was over, but the danger was clearer than ever. His world would always try to touch them. As long as he was in it, Stella and Lucy were in the splash zone. He couldn't let that happen. That evening, Enzo stood across the street from Stella's apartment again. The new door was strong. The street was quiet. He saw the light on in the window. His phone rang. It was Stella. Hello. Enzo, Mrs. Gable called me from the hospital. She said a nice man stayed with her until her nephew arrived. She said he was very polite. She described you. Stella's voice was soft. Thank you. It was nothing, he said. It wasn't nothing. And I heard other things about a problem at the hospital today, in the stairwell. Enzo closed his eyes. It's handled. He won't bother you again. He's leaving the city. There was a long silence. He could hear her breathing. This can't go on, Enzo, Stella said finally. I see the men watching us. I feel safe, yes. But I also feel like I'm in a cage. A nice cage, but a cage. And Lucy, she's starting to ask about the nice men in the cars. She's a smart girl. She'll figure it out. I don't want her to grow up in this shadow. Enzo's heart felt heavy. She was right. What do you want me to do, Stella? I can make the shadow go away, but the things in the dark, they'll still be there. I want to leave, Enzo, she said, her voice firm. I want to take Lucy and go somewhere new, somewhere no one knows us, where she can just be a kid, where I'm not a waitress named Stella who is protected by the mob. The words hurt, but they were true. I can make that happen, Enzo said. A new name, a new place, a house, a good job for you, far away from here. You would never have to see me again. Another silence. This one felt different. Is that what you want? Stella asked. To never see us again. Enzo looked up at the window. He thought of Lucy's smile, of Alina's memory, of the promise. No, he admitted, the word torn from him. It's not what I want, but I want you to be safe more than I want anything else. Maybe, Stella's voice was barely a whisper. Maybe safe isn't just about locked doors and watchful men. Maybe it's about knowing someone cares, really cares. Alina loved you, you know. She really did. She told me you wanted to leave this life even back then. for her. Tears pricked Enzo's eyes. He hadn't cried in 20 years. I can't change what I am, Stella. Maybe you already are changing, she said. Come upstairs, Enzo. Please just come talk. He knocked on the new, strong door. Stella opened it. Lucy was in pajamas, coloring at the small table. Mr. Enzo, Lucy said, smiling. Mommy said you helped Mrs. Gable. You're a good helper. The simple words shattered the last of his defenses. He managed a small smile. Thank you, Lucy. Stella put Lucy to bed. Then she came back to the small living room and sat opposite Enzo. They talked. Not about the Mafia or wars or money. They talked about Alina, about silly memories from when they were all young. They talked about Lucy, her favorite books, her dreams of being a veterinarian. For 2 hours, Enzo was just a man, not a boss. When it was time to go, Stella walked him to the door. You don't have to decide anything tonight, she said. But know this, running away from you isn't the answer. I spent years running from my sister's memory, from the past. I'm tired of running. Maybe we build a new kind of safe, together. She reached out and touched his arm. A simple human touch. It felt like a lifeline. Enzo nodded, unable to speak. He left. The next day he called a meeting with his top men. Paul, James, Daniel. He laid out a new plan. He was stepping back, not yet that would cause chaos, but back. Daniel, who was smart and fair, would take over more of the day-to-day. The business would change. No more shaking down people like Stella. No more terror. They would focus on what they were already good at: gambling, logistics, certain imports. Quiet, profitable, and far from the innocent. The old ways end now, Enzo said. This is the new rule. Anyone who doesn't like it can leave. Anyone who breaks it will answer to me. The men were surprised, but they agreed. They had seen the boss's will. They knew he was serious. Weeks turned into months. Vincent Rosedy left the city, his empire gone. Peace settled over Enzo's territory, a quieter, more stable peace. Enzo didn't visit Stella and Lucy every day. He didn't want to crowd them, but he was there. He came for dinner every Sunday. He helped Lucy with her math homework. He fixed a leaky faucet. Normal things. One Sunday afternoon, they were in the park. Lucy was on the swings. Enzo pushed her gently. Stella sat on a bench nearby, watching them, a small smile on her face. Lucy laughed, flying high. Higher, Mr. Enzo. He pushed a little higher, his heart feeling fuller than he ever thought possible. Stella walked over and stood next to him. She wants to call you something else, Stella said quietly, but she's afraid to ask. Enzo stopped pushing. He looked at Stella. What does she want to call me? Stella took his hand. Her hand was warm in his. She wants to call you Uncle Enzo. Enzo Conti, the man they called the Veil, looked at the little girl on the swing, at the woman who held his hand, and at the ghost of a past promise finally kept. He nodded, a single tear tracing a clean path down his cheek. Yeah, he said, his voice thick. I'd like that. The little girl asked him to fix a door, and in doing so, she fixed something in him that had been broken for 20 years. He couldn't erase the past. He couldn't change what he was, but he could choose what he would become, for them, for Alina, and finally for himself. He gave the swing one more push, and the sound of Lucy's laughter filled the quiet park, a sound brighter than any fear, stronger than any shadow from the past. Thank you for feeling every moment with Enzo, Stella, and Lucy. Was their new beginning the right choice? Did your heart break for them in New York or somewhere else across the world? Comment below with your city and subscribe for more stories where love challenges a life of crime.